here. You should really close it.
믿기지 않는 일이다. 빰빰빰빰빰빰.
If you're anything like me, which you probably are if you clicked on this video, then this list might be just what you're looking for. I have always loved the slice of life genre, even before I even knew the name for it. Escaping into a world of light-hearted fiction is very healing in many ways. And by the romanticization of the small things that we do in our everyday life, I feel like it can make a huge difference in the quality of our general lives. So I have a very special place in my heart for slice of life. Because of that, I consume a lot of slice of life related content, which is what I want to share with you today. This is gonna probably be a series because I have a lot of recommendations. But today I have 15 TV shows that fit into this genre just for you. You know that anime is gonna be a part of this. Not just anime, but like Western animation as well. Anything animated. I feel like it's such a strong force when it comes to storytelling. If this is not your cup of tea, don't worry. I do have non-anime animation recommendations in this list. However, if you haven't dipped your toes into this kind of content, I do suggest giving it a shot. Now, let's dive in. The first one that we're going to talk about is Hilda. If you could encapsulate the feeling of warm, cozy, and home in one show, this would be it. First of all, it takes place in a different world where there are different creatures, little tidbits of mythology, and a lot of special lore. I don't know how I can tell you about the show without spoiling it, so I'm just gonna say the basics. It's about this little girl who lives with her mother and her pet deer fox, which is a creature in the show, in the wilderness. She loves adventure, and it's basically about her story, the people she meets, and the creatures she meets along the way. It is very wholesome, very sweet, and to be very honest, I feel like I can relate to Hilda a lot, and I feel like any adults who watch this show will probably agree, because as a kid, I looked for magic and different creatures that I could find all the time. Leprechauns and fairies, and tried to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I mean, I wasn't the brightest kid, but I looked at the world with wonder, hope, and excitement. And I feel like this show really represents that part of childhood, and I feel like most adults could probably relate to it, and it was a very comforting watch. Highly recommend. Number 2, Carol and Tuesday. This one is kind of like sci-fi mixed with slice of life. It has a pretty strong premise, but all in all, it's very lighthearted, inspiring, and just beautifully animated as well. It's set on Mars 50 years after humans start living there, and it's about these two girls who happen to meet and start a music duo together. This show does require a little more investment than a regular slice of life, but I think it's worth it. The characters are lovable, the writing is great, and it's a sweet show about music and friendship. There is a found family element to it, which is one of my favorite tropes, which is why I thought it was worth to put on this list. Number 3, Kotaro Lives Alone. Now, honestly, I've only seen a part of the live action version of this. It has both live action and an animated version, which has a very cute style. The story is obviously the same, so you could choose either, whichever you prefer. So I do recommend this for you and for myself because I really want to actually finish this show. But even with the little I've watched, it left a very strong, wholesome impression on me, which is why I added it to the list. It's about this little boy who's around 5 years old, and the absurd fact that he lives his life completely alone. He rents his apartment alone, he lives alone, he does everything on his own. There is a mystery to why this is, but in the meanwhile, he forms bonds with the people who are living around him in the apartment complex. The whole story just revolves around their bonds and his different, unique life. It has a major found family sort of vibe. Like I said, trope I love. It is just so cute and wholesome, and I honestly recommend the animation and live action for it. Number 4, We Bare Bears. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a pretty famous show, but wait, hear me out. Let me explain. While this is a pretty famous show, so I won't spend so much time on it, I think a lot of people assume that it's just for children, when in reality, I feel like it has a lot to offer for adults as well. It's lighthearted, it has a lot of meaningful moments, and yes, I did cry watching the show. I'm a Cancer, we do that. Okay, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but I cry a lot, so whatever. I just wanted to add this to the list for the people who may not have watched it, because on a bad day when you come home, or you are already home and just had a bad day anyway, you can put this on, turn off your mind, and enjoy some beautiful, cute, wholesome animation that will help you just take a breath and feel like everything will be okay. Number 5, City of Ghosts. Sorry, City of Ghosts. This is another children's show. However, bro, I cried a lot watching this. Like, seriously, it's a beautiful show. It's like a pastel version of Ghostbusters. I don't know how else to describe it. It's about these group of kids who go around and help these cute ass cloud-like ghosts finish their unfinished business and find peace. Now, this show is not only wholesome, but it also has some next level diversity, which should be the bare minimum, honestly, but since it isn't in the media that we have today, I found it to be very good at representing different cultures and different people and showcasing individual stories as well. It not only teaches kids, but also reminds adults that every person that you see has a unique story, a past pain, and it kind of gives this message of be kind to everyone, you know, love and respect the people around you. I'm sorry that this became all preachy, but I love this show. It's very sweet and I highly recommend. Moving on from animation, let's go to some real people shit. On number 6, we have StillSeventeen. This is one of my absolute favorite K-dramas of all time. Like I mentioned before, I am a huge hoe for the found family trope, so this one hits real hard. It's inspiring, funny, wholesome, cute. I know I've said the words wholesome and cute with every single recommendation, but that's kind of the point of the list. Whatever. I don't have a very rich vocabulary. Anyway, it's about this girl who wakes up from a 13-year coma. Now, I know this sounds super sad, but trust me, the show's writing really balances it out with humor and relief from the drama. The characters are well developed. I was equally as invested in the main characters as I was in the side characters. Like, I think there was a point where I was more invested in the side character, her. All in all, this show is very good and you're just kind of invested until the end. You just want to know what happens, and I just wanted to put it on this list because it's one of my favorite shows. So cool. Moving on. Number 7, Grace and Frankie. This show, guys, the level of love I have for Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda after watching this is insane. Their chemistry alone makes you want to watch all 6 seasons. Basically, it revolves around these 2 women in their mid to late 70s who find out that their husbands are gay and having an affair with each other and want to get married. That's not a spoiler, that's the first 5 minutes of the show. Don't worry, it's in the trailer too. It's the premise of the show. It basically just revolves around how they go about their life after this life-changing news and their unlikely friendship, which is beautiful and it's so meaningful. Like some episodes, man, in this show, like most of them actually, are so special. They're so well written. The acting is amazing. I love all the characters. It's just a great show, and if you haven't watched it, you really should. Number 8, When the Camellia Blooms. This show is about a single mother making her way in a small town in Korea. It's got romance, it's got humor. Now, here's the disclaimer. A major part of the show revolves around a murder mystery. For me, it just got me hooked. Like, I was rooting for all the characters, but it may not be for everybody. Overall, I would still consider it slice of life though, which is why I put it on this list. But if you're looking for just light-hearted content that doesn't really have you on the edge of your seat, then I would suggest to maybe skip this one for now. However, if you're down and prepared for thrill and tears along the way, then I suggest this strongly. The characters are very well-rounded because this show, despite the mystery, thrill, and yes, grief, actually turns out to be quite wholesome. I don't know how, but it balances all of these elements really well, and the characters and overall show is wonderful. Again, it does get sad and thrilling, but if you're okay with that, I recommend. On this weird slice of life slash thriller wheel, I do have one more recommendation, and this one I was a little weary to put on this list, but I figured that it still like made the cut just because of how cozy it was despite all of those elements. It has its fair share of romance, it has its fair share of comedy, but I'm gonna put a trigger warning on this one because it may be difficult to watch for some people. And that one is number 9, Mad for You. This show gets sad. That is 100% true. It has violence in it as well. You're kind of scared for the main characters, and that kind of includes an animal as well. I know, I do not watch a lot of shows with animals in them, like if it's in real life, because one, I'm scared of how they treat the animals behind the scenes. Well, it could be really well, it could also be really bad, and that just kind of makes me sad automatically. And also, I don't want anything to happen to the animal in the show. However, this one show is an exception. Despite the fear that you feel, it is truly an amazing show. It's about two broken people with sad backstories who end up finding each other in completely messy scenarios, and they also share a psychiatrist. I'm not gonna lie, it may not be the best depiction of mental illness, but you understand that these are two actually broken people. You end up rooting for them. You really want them to have a happy life. The reason they're in this slice of life kind of genre is, I think, more because of how they deal with their sadness in their daily lives, and it has a very cozy vibe to it. It has this us against the world kind of feeling. Like, these two characters are lonely. You're just really rooting for them to get together, help each other out. It might not be for everybody, but for me, it was very cozy. If I could, I'd forget about it. I'd watch it again for sure. While it was difficult to watch in some places, it overall gives cozy, found family, rooting for the main characters, underdog kind of vibes, which I love. And it feels like slice of life to me, which is why I put it on this list. Now let's move on from thriller, because even I'm surprised that there is thriller on this list at all. Number 10, Chicago Party Aunt. Now this one surprised me because I don't typically watch this sort of animation style, but this show, man, it has a lot of heart. The characters are lovable. There are so many meaningful moments. It's really funny, and yeah, I was very invested in the characters actually. Not only that, but it was voiced by one of my favorite actresses, Lauren Ash, who also plays Dina. For my next recommendation, number 11, Superstore. This is a pretty well-known show, but for those of you who haven't watched it, I'm putting it on the list. It's a slice of life comedy romance that you should not sleep on. You should not miss out on this one. This show is predominantly based on a branch of a big box store called Cloud9 and its employees. It doesn't sound like it would be that interesting, but boy, is it. The characters are well-rounded. The comedy is immaculate. I laugh out loud every episode. There's romance, there's drama, and it's just an amazing show, so don't wait, just go watch it. Number 12 is Mr. Kim's Convenience. This feels to me like it's quite slept on overall. It is so funny, and it is so like sweet and meaningful as well. It's about an immigrant family who lives in Canada, I think Toronto, and it revolves around their relationship with each other and the world around them. I love the characters so much. So yeah, I cried in this one as well. So yeah, if that entices you, go watch that. Number 13, I feel like a lot of people have watched this as well, but I do feel like it belongs on the list just by how good it is. It's about this woman who moves from her big city to a small town and finds family and love along the way. It's very well written. I love the side characters, and man, there was this one twist that I did not see coming that I am here for, and when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's one of the side characters. Not gonna say anything more than that. Y'all, this show is great. Go watch it. Number 14, When the Weather is Fine. Listen, if you want a quiet show where it feels like you can just kind of smell the coffee and the weather, you can just kind of feel the cold weather, sweet romance, like little tidbits of comedy here and there, this show is for you. This is also about a woman who leaves the big city and comes back to her hometown where she grew up and comes back to live with her aunt. The cinematography is next level. Like, it is beautiful. Definitely deserves a place on this list. Number 15 is Dear My Friends. This one got me crying a lot, guys. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I was crying a lot, and this show revolves around a group of elderly people and their stories and stories of their families, and it's so heart-wrenching in some places and so funny in others and so wholesome and beautiful, and I just love this show so much. It belongs on your watch list. It really does. Go watch. Now for my honorable mentions. I have shows that you may have heard of or already watched, however they do belong on this list. Going for number 1, Gilmore Girls. This is the epitome of comfort for me, especially the first 2 seasons. There's nothing more comforting than getting takeout and watching Gilmore Girls. Reply 1998. I haven't watched this whole thing. Honestly, for me, it was a bit slow. However, I have heard many amazing reviews. All of my friends who've watched this show love this show, and I feel like it also had to do with the timing of like when I watched it. And I feel like if I watch it now, I'll love it a lot more. So I wanted to put it on the list in case you might love it too. Number 3 is Romantic Killer. This is a pretty absurd anime. It is so cute. It is so funny. It made me laugh out loud so many times. The romance is top tier. You have characters you're really rooting for. Lastly, I'm just gonna mention some names real quick because this video is getting long. We have Kimi ni Todoke, Toradora, Steven Universe, Spy X Family. I honestly have a lot more, but we're gonna stop here for today. If you like this video, I'll make a part 2. Let me know in the comments. That is my slice of life recommendations for TV shows. I try to stick to the genre as much as I can. A lot of times you'll find that slice of life is paired with another genre as well. But this was my best shot at giving you guys a good list. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. Signing off, your friend Omahana. Bye!